Good morning, welcome back to Deer Valley Homestead. My name's Andy, and this week we are harvesting. But first, we're going to check in on a few of the animals. First up, let's check on the baby guineas. Let's have a look. These guys are getting fast. They can fly now. And they're pretty hard if you want to catch one. You see? Everywhere. Okay, buddy, I don't want to stress you out. You know, I read a lot about the guinea keets before we hatched them out, and one of the things that was a common theme was handle them as much as you can when they're young, and when they're older. Morning, rabbits. And when you're older, and when they are older, they'll be much more friendly. So far, that is not the case. These guys are petrified of being handled to the point that I've stopped handling them. It just seems unfair. Alright, we're down in the garden. This is my first year gardening. I've never had a garden before. I've watched a bunch of YouTube about gardening, but I've never had a garden before. So this year has really just been one big experiment. What grows, what doesn't grow, what do I know how to do, what don't I know how to do. So I've basically just stuck a bunch of random things everywhere. There are a few things that were pretty important to us, and that was potatoes, onions, garlic, and tomatoes. If we could get those 4 things in abundance, we'd be very happy, and that hasn't quite happened. I don't know if you can hear it, but there's a forestry truck somewhere over in the forest. It seems like they've maybe started harvesting our local forest. It is a managed forest. You can tell when you walk through it, all the trees are in rows. So we're going to harvest as much as we can today, and then I'm going to head into the kitchen and start saving some of it for the winter. While we're here, I'll show you a couple of disasters this year. Number 1 is this wheelbarrow. It was supposed to grow some pumpkins and some zucchinis, but in reality, it's mostly been duck food. They seem to absolutely love the compost. Same in these beds. They were growing really well for a while. We had some melons, some gourds, and some pumpkins, and some zucchini actually. And they have just been massacred by the ducks. And you can see the telltale signs. These nice big holes. That's where the ducks have been in. About a month ago, I was really excited about these watermelons growing. However, the first one has now turned orange and is very clearly a pumpkin. Oh, jackpot! Oh, look at that guy. He's a monster. 1. He's still too small. Oh, he's gone rotten. Any of the rotten ones go straight to the chickens. There we go. We have so many cranberries. We only have 4 plants, but they are producing like crazy, and they taste good too. Have you ever seen how they harvest cranberries on farms? It's crazy. They just flood the field, they send in a tractor that shakes the bush, and all the cranberries just float to the top, and then they just scoop them all up. Unfortunately, I don't have that luxury. You come to help, buddy? I don't think you're going to help. Look at this one. It's absolutely covered. Not all of these ones are ready, so trying to be a little bit more selective here. And the other plant. What about this one? These plants are awesome. They're all throwing up roots to the side and more cranberry bushes should appear. So the outdoor tomatoes really haven't done that well this year. I think there's a few reasons. Number 1, I didn't weed them properly. Number 2, I didn't cut the leaves at the bottom, so they've got a little bit of disease. And number 3, we had a really windy day and a bunch of them broke in half. not much I can do about that. But these guys will be some nice cherry tomatoes. We're going to leave those on the plant. Beata's going to be home in a week or so, and I think she will really enjoy those. Let's find ourselves some cucumbers. These are going to go into the tzatziki tonight. And there's one, that'll do. And that one will do for the chickens. And one more for me. There we go. Anything in the garden that gets rotten or gets too big or just that we don't want to eat goes straight in for these guys. Who love it. Alright, next up, let's find ourselves some potatoes. The potatoes have been a disaster this year. We now have what I'm calling new potatoes. And what that means is that the potato beetles have eaten every single leaf. So the potatoes haven't had a chance to get very big. So I'm calling them new potatoes. Seems to work for me. Let's see what we have in this section. This was the section with the smallest leaves, so I'm not overly optimistic about what we might have in here. But that'll do for dinner. I'm calling that new potatoes. Not small potatoes that didn't grow properly because I missed the start of the potato bugs. Wow, that shouldn't be that hard. This was all rotivated, but with the clay soil, it's amazing how much it goes hard. How much it goes hard, how quickly it goes hard. Ah, look, there we have one. So we have two kinds of these bugs. We have these ones with the stripes, and we have some red ones as well. And these guys come in, they must lay thousands of eggs because they kill the plants so quickly. Even the chickens won't eat them. So I think apart from the bugs, we would have done quite well. Whoa, there's another good one. Yeah, now it's green. No. Maybe we'll cut the green bit off. I'll have to Google that to see if that's allowed or not. That's enough potatoes for dinner, so I'm going to stop there. We had strawberry plants in this bed originally, and we moved them because they just weren't doing very well. And I ended up throwing these beans in just to see what would happen. So we have some French beans, and we have some purple beans. They're not ready yet for sure, but they're getting closer, and we'll see what those are like in a couple of weeks. Here we have some peas. They were doing really well, but they've picked up some kind of white mold the last few days. It's been so rainy. And those are your peas. And they taste amazing. Sweet. Yummy. Of course, the sunflowers are still doing really well. I think this one here must be upwards of 8 feet, maybe even 9 feet. Let's have a look. I'll go and stand next to it. What did I say? I said 8 feet, maybe 9. I don't know. What am I? I'm 5'8", 5'9". I don't know. I'm somewhere around 5'8", 5'9". I don't remember exactly. That's a big sunflower. Of course, not going to harvest that yet. I'm not planning to make any sunflower oil. Just wanted to see how easy they were to grow. I'm thinking about growing some for the chicken food next year. And while we're here, I have to look at my walnut trees. These ones that have gone in the ground have done really, really well. The ones that went into the pots are about half this size. We planted about 20 fruit trees. They're just here getting bigger until we find somewhere to put them. But, very exciting, we have a peach. I'm not sure if it'll be very tasty, but we really didn't expect to find any peaches in our first year, so pretty cool. I'm sure you'll be able to see the apple tree is absolutely stacked. And the walnut tree is much the same. Absolutely stacked with walnuts again this year. Well, there we go. I thought they were cutting trees, but they're not. They're cutting the field. But it's growing that tall. It sounds like they're cutting trees. And into the greenhouse we go. The greenhouse is definitely one of the most successful parts of the garden this year. It hasn't taken that much to look after it, and apart from nearly blowing away a couple of times, it's done very well. On this side of the greenhouse you have these nice Italian tomatoes, and I tend to leave it until there's a massive bucket full, and then I can take them all at the same time. And I can make a soup or a tomato sauce or a tomato puree that we can save in the freezer for the winter. Tomatoes are one of those things that you're kind of in feast or famine. You either have way too many or not enough. Alright, that is our haul of Italian tomatoes for the day. That's going to go into a nice freezer sauce this afternoon. And now I'm going to pick the other tomatoes. We've had some really heavy rain, and even though they're in the greenhouse, they have still started to split. So there's the other tomatoes. They're like a small cherry tomato. But a bunch of them have started to split with the heavy rain. So we'll see. I'll have a look when I take them in the kitchen, see if we can cook some of them up or not. Alright, well that was a pretty good harvest for the morning. I'm going to go inside. I normally stick everything into one of those online recipe makers. So just write in what we have, and it comes up with some ideas on what to cook. Simples. We have mountains of grapes again this year. They're not ready to harvest yet. And actually it's my neighbour who will come and harvest them. He makes wine with them. And by the third glass, it tastes pretty nice. I'm afraid that's all we have time for now. But if you'd like to watch some more, there should be some other videos popping up on the screen about now. I hope wherever you are, you're having an awesome week, and we'll catch you next time.